All right, we're joined by Coach Collins. Coach, thanks so much for joining us on the call today. If you would just take a minute to tie up the game against Villanova, please, and what you expect to see as you're back at home Saturday against Buffalo.
Sure, absolutely. Tough loss. So we're playing a good team that we had a close win the year before. They were able to beat us this time. Looking at the film, it wasn't a matter of effort. It was a matter of execution, the two things that we were really preaching throughout the week, and came up short on the execution part of it. And, we've got a really good Buffalo team coming here on Saturday. We just got off the practice field. The guys were focused, wanting to execute better, learn the plan, work the plan, and go and have a really good game against a good opponent in Buffalo on Saturday.
We'll open up to questions for Coach Collins, please. Hit star 1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
Our first question comes from Mark Narducci from Philadelphia Inquirer. Please go ahead.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Geoff. How are you? Just want to know, is there any update you'd be able to give us on Dana Levine? He walked off the field pretty gingerly the other day.
Sure. Yeah, he did. He's probably going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So he'll be in rehab. We'll elevate DeAndre Kelly and Arnold Ebiketie will be, more part of the rotation. But yeah, it's he was playing really well in the game and then went down. And so hopefully the rehab goes well. He's a tough kid, and unfortunate that it happened. But we're all praying for a speedy recovery for him.
Geoff, in looking at Buffalo, that Tyree Jackson, I know he had 6 TD passes the other day, but he looks like a real prospect. Can you tell me what you've seen of him on tape?
Yeah, so we studied them this summer. We knew they were returning a ton of starters. Probably 90% of their starts were coming back. And, he was banged up a little bit last year. But the tape that you saw on him last year, he's physically imposing. I think he's a 6'7" quarterback that stands tall in the pocket, great arm, very accurate, but he also throws the deep ball very, very well. They do a nice job schematically. He's got some weapons around him. I think one of the all-time leading receivers in Buffalo history plays for him, and they've got a deep receiving core and a tight end that's very talented and a stable of running backs that are really good. And then, I thought he lit it up, on Saturday too against Delaware State. But just a big physical, strong-armed guy that seems like he has real command of the offense. And then number 7, Kyle, who played a lot last year when Tyree was down. He's a really good player as well. So we've got our work cut out for us. Very complete offense and a very talented offensive line as well.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Dan Totora from WakeUpCallDT.com. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon,
Dan.
Coach. How are you? How you doing?
Good.
To look at quarterback Frank Newtown, just what you could say. Obviously, I know you're coming off a loss, but what you saw from him and just where he's at right now as comparative to where you want him to be in the grand scheme of things.
Sure. I think, Villanova did a good job taking away the deep ball. I think Frankie Newtown is one of the best deep ball throwers in the country, but they were playing way off and close in the middle of the field. So, they did a good job to make sure that our we got some fast receivers that can really stretch the field vertically. So they were preventing that. And, he had some nice throws, some good seam routes. Probably some missed targets on some of the intermediate passes. But Frankie's a leader. He's a perfectionist. So he's going to come back. He's going to study the things that he'd perform poorly with and come back out against a good Buffalo defense and try to rectify the situation.
I know, obviously, that no coach wants to start 0-1 for the season, but what were the biggest takeaways, kind of building blocks that you could take off of this 19-17 loss? Yeah,
sure. I think all along that we've been the process that we go through, to develop a physical team, a tough team, that process is intact. Just the execution piece I thought was lacking on Saturday. And, so that's on me to get it fixed. But the guys came in today and actually yesterday on their own, wanting to fix their execution, wanting to perform better on game days. It's one thing to do it, on a Tuesday afternoon practice when there's nobody around, but then once you're on TV and in front of a crowd, you still have to be able to execute in adverse conditions. And we had some on Saturday, and hopefully we've learned from it as a team. Thought the attitude was great. The intensity, mental intensity to get things right was there. And, everybody was looking at themselves, coaches included, to fix the things that they did poorly on Saturday. And that's a good place to be. Obviously, you hate to do it, from a losing perspective, but I thought the attitude was good and, working to fix the things that we did poorly on Saturday.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate your time.
Sure.
Our next question comes from Sean Pastor of Owls Daily. Please go ahead.
Hey, Sean. Sean.
Hey, Geoff. I wanted to follow up on the play clock and the game clock situation at the end of the game. Based on the referees, that was a booth review, right?
Yeah, it was.
You said you were. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just the communication, what the situation was happening, the mechanics of it. If it had been 1 second either way, the clock would have been stopped. But it was a interesting situation. We had to burn a timeout, and so that's how it played out.
Yeah, what struck me is that it was until essentially 40 seconds had passed until the booth stopped alerted the official and stopped the clock, and then at that point the clock resets for another 25. Was there? And you had mentioned that you were kind of having a discussion on the field, so. I mean, that seems like a really inordinate amount of time for the booth to just really be looking at what the clock was on the previous, where the clock had been at the end of the previous play, right? They're not looking at possession or something like that. In terms of the timing there, was that? I mean, did you? Because you just mentioned that you had been having a discussion, I guess, with the official on the sideline, but
Sure.
And you're thinking, again, what kind of that whole situation did it not? Certainly seemed like it worked against you.
It did. And, I think that's, a question for those guys. But the situation happened. We were put in that situation. We burned a timeout to get the clock stopped. So, unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as the, the running game, and kind of similar to what was often an issue last year, was just the number of negative plays you had in the running game. And when you look at the tape here, what did you think was sort of the reason for the number of negative plays on Saturday running the ball?
Sure, and I think you got to give credit to Villanova. They run a unique scheme that a lot of teams don't run. They're plugging backers, fitting plays different ways all the time, bringing pressure from unique looks. And we didn't handle it as well as we had in practice. And then they got us on some things that were uncharacteristic, and even some of the things that early in the game were springing for some decent runs. Later just the execution piece against similar looks didn't get it executed, and then results in a tackle for loss. So those are the things that are frustrating as coaches, and our players are frustrated with wanting to do better. And just not being able to execute that and losing yards and getting put in negative situations. So we're working hard to rectify that so we don't get put in these situations.
Okay, thanks.
Our next question comes from Matt Vender of owlscoop.com. Please go ahead.
Hi, Geoff.
Hey, Matt.
How are you? First question I want to ask, just about, I know you guys were limited on offensive possessions. I know you guys obviously live with the time of possession battle and everything like that, but no carries for the backup running backs like Jagger Gardner, Jeremy Jennings, some of those other guys. Was that part of the game plan, just to get Raquel to work, or was it just because the limited amount of plays that you had? Was that just kind of how the game flow went?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Obviously, we think very highly of Rockwell Armstead in this program. He's a great running back for us. I know he wanted more touches. The game was, how it was. We were down 14, and so we're trying to open up the passing game a little bit more. But we do want to get Jagger Gardner involved in the offense. We do want to get Jeremy Jennings involved in the offense. Creatively, we got Toddy Centeo, 2 carries. But yeah, there's a plan to get those guys more touches. But Rockwell Armstead obviously is the feature back in our program, and so we're trying to get him the ball as many ways as possible and control possession. And then also the possession also goes getting off the field on defense on third down. And then definitely if we do get off the field on third down, they go for it on fourth, we have to get off the field. And we were 0 for stopping Villanova on fourth down, which is something we're very aware of and are working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. That's a huge priority to us. You guys know money down is a huge priority to us. And I don't think we did a good job defensively in that phase on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the offensive line goes, you were rotating guys a little bit. Obviously, you had McHale sliding in and out from tackle to guard, but
yep.
the 2 tackles that played, the 2 true freshmen, Adam Klein, Isaac Moore, how do you think those guys held up?
Yeah, I thought they did good, and they're still developing and still, going to increase their reps as we go throughout the season. So you'll see them on Saturday. James did a good job. Jalen Robinson probably played as good of a football game as he has since he's been here. I think he only had 1 bust on one of the tackles for loss, but other than that, I thought he played really solid throughout the game, so excited about him. And James McHale is a highly intelligent guy, so he can move to different positions along the offensive line and to be able to get those young freshman offensive tackles in the game. And for, to be a Division I program and playing, 2 freshman offensive linemen, that says a lot about the quality young men that we were able to get at those 2 positions.
And one last question for you. Any update on Daniel Levine? Anything on him?
Yeah, I'd answered it earlier, but yeah, we're anticipating him probably out 4 to 6 weeks, and so just praying for his speedy recovery. He's a tough kid, and he'll work hard to get back to the rotation. But we'll elevate DeAndre Kelly. He played some on Saturday as well, and Arnold Ibikady. I think he played 4 plays on Saturday, so he'll be more of a role as well. Big 6'4" defensive end, so. I'm excited what he can add, to the rotation.
Is Ibikite above the line now?
He is, yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Geoff. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Leo Haggerty of It Sports Magazine. Please go ahead.
Hey,
Good
Leo.
afternoon, Coach. How you doing today?
Okay.
Happy Labor Day.
Thank you.
Coach, going into last week's game, what's the one major question you had about your team that you had answered?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just the big thing was, I thought they followed through with the process of preparing to play a really good opponent, to get ready emotionally, physically, played with tremendous effort. But just the big thing that was lacking is being able to execute all the time in a pressure field situation. And so we just got to get better at that, executing at a high level, executing in critical situations. And so that'll be the focus all week, is making sure that we are executing regardless of the look, defensively or offensively. We have to execute our assignments, do our job, don't try to do too much. And when the pressure is the highest, we still have to keep it down to its simplest terms and execute our assignment and do our job.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Coach, thanks so much for your time today. I look forward to hearing from you again next Monday.